Having me. I spent a great semester last year here at BIDS, and it's really nice to come back to Berkeley. It's, of course, always pleasant and beautiful, and I have many friends that I hadn't seen for a while, so thank you for the opportunity to be here. And whenever I'm invited to give a talk that is classed as a keynote, I always try to do something that will just provoke some thinking. We've had several talks today about different projects, and I just wanted to share some thoughts with you. That's the opportunity I have as a keynote speaker, to just share some thoughts and see what you think about it. I've titled it Data Science for All. And it is a play on a program called Computer Science for All. If you are not familiar, this program was announced by President Obama in January 2016, only 16 months ago. But in another era, it feels. It's like another age. This initiative called for $4 billion of funding for states and $100 million directly for school districts to expand computer science education in K-12 and train teachers, expand access to high-quality instructional materials, and several other things. It is a program that ran for a year with quite a bit some impact. And its motivation was that the estimates at the time were that half of all STEM jobs were projected to be in some computer science-related field by 2018, so just next year. This is the quote there directly from the White House description. Now, I think you can find the archive in Obama White House something, but it's still live. The estimate that 51% of all STEM jobs are projected to be in computer science-related fields. Not too clear to me what they mean by computer science-related fields. And here's another quote from that materials. Computer Science for All, they had their hashtag, of course, was aiming to offer every student the hands-on computer science and math classes that make them job-ready from day one. So it was a huge government initiative to get computer science education spread through our educational system. It was motivated by the idea that future jobs depend on these skills. The motivation to keep the economy growing and filling those jobs with skilled workers. So really, it was all about the jobs. Most professionals will likely use some form of programming in the future, or even today, and that is the argument for CS for All. But I was thinking that more is at stake now with respect to data science. So let's take a moment to talk a little bit about data products, which are now being launched by innovative companies all over the world. Here's one from just a week ago. This is the Amazon's Echo Look, the first iteration of the Echo that has a camera, and the device uses it to evaluate your outfits. Take your outfit of the day photograph, share it, upload it, and the app is supposed to use machine learning and some information collected from experts to suggest which styles are the best for you. The photos and videos that you take with Echo Look will instantly be uploaded, of course, to the Amazon cloud. Now, this style check feature takes advice from stylists and machine learning algorithms, as I said, to, I guess, judge your looks. So quickly we had some reactions. On the same day, we had this reaction from Zeinab Effect. I don't know how to pronounce that. Let me try it again. Tufekci, I guess it could be. She's an assistant professor at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill at the School of Information and Library Science, and she was a Carnegie Fellow and a Fellow of the Princeton University Center for Information Technology. She writes for the New York Times, very authoritative person to make this comment. With this data, Amazon won't be able to just sell you clothes or judge you. It could analyze if you're depressed or pregnant and much else. And the thread continues. The algorithms will judge you based on their training data, so you can also enjoy the of fashion industry in a more robust fashion. Machine learning algorithms can do so much with regular full-length pictures of you. They can infer private things you did not disclose. So they also didn't answer if they will sell the data to third parties, let alone what analysis they will do, commenting on somebody else's observation that Amazon confirmed that the images will be stored indefinitely. And finally, not just a privacy disaster. People don't understand what algorithms can infer from pictures. You're disclosing a lot of health info too. So this is I think a key thinking moment. People don't understand what algorithms can infer from pictures. Not even getting into the obvious biases, of course, that this product will incorporate because of the training data that was used in the machine learning. So her concluding tweet, sleepwalking into surveillance capitalism, which is evolving into data and computation-driven authoritarianism, one cool service at a time. Just from last week, that was. Here is something a little older. You may have heard of this controversial study, popularly known as the Facebook mood experiment. You can find it online, this article from the Proceedings of the National Academies. Its goal was, I think it's 2013, 2014 published eventually, so it's a little bit older. Its goal was to test whether emotional contagion occurs outside of in-person interactions. They studied about 3 million posts of about 700,000 individuals, and the study exposed these subjects to friends' newsfeed content and reduced positive or negative content to different groups, and measured then the subjects' own emotional content from their own posts. The conclusion of this study was that emotions expressed by others on Facebook can influence our own emotions, and that in-person interaction and nonverbal cues are not really necessary, not strictly necessary to have this emotional contagion. This is a very, very commented study. It had huge discussion in terms of this ethics. And the Proceedings of the National Academies published this editorial expression of concern soon after, where they grayed out some sections to point out what I thought was most relevant here. This paper represents an important and emerging area of social science research that needs to be approached with sensitivity and with vigilance regarding personal privacy issues. Questions have been raised about the principles of informed consent and opportunity to opt out in connection with the research in this paper. The authors noted that the work was consistent with Facebook's data use policy, to which all users agree prior to creating their account. Yes, of course, we know that. Click, accept, 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 credit card, no, 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 right? That's what we all do. Well, when the authors prepared this paper, they stated that because this experiment was conducted by Facebook for internal purposes, Cornell University Institutional Review Board determined that the project did not fall under Cornell's Human Research Protection Program. So this is very interesting. Because all of the data was collected by a company and this experiment itself was conducted by a company, it did not fall under the ethics of research with human subjects. And Facebook is a private company. They were under no obligation to conform with the provisions and of those ethics rules, and nevertheless, the National Academy said that they deemed it appropriate to publish the paper and also express their concern that the collection of the data may have involved practices that were not fully consistent with this idea that subjects need to be informed and have the opportunity to opt out. Most recently, this article, literally from yesterday, talks about a leaked document out of the company's branch in Australia. That document, an internal report, details in particular how Facebook executives promote advertising campaigns that exploit users' emotional states, in particular teenagers. Facebook's algorithms can determine and give this information to advertisers to pinpoint when young people are particularly vulnerable. And they detail all of the ranges of emotions that they can detect with their algorithms, whether the young person is feeling worthless, insecure, defeated, anxious, silly, useless, stupid, overwhelmed, stressed, a failure. Teenagers feeling these types of emotions and being targeted potentially by advertisers who want to exploit this for their business. Of course, very quickly, Facebook came out with some sort of denial and statement disputing that the intent of this report, which was leaked, nobody knows how, was to actually use this for selling advertisement, that this was just an internal research, and that they were going to review their research procedures and so on. Nevertheless, it sends chills down your spine because we just heard that a corporation like Facebook is not subject to the ethics of research with human subjects. I wanted to tell you about this book in case you haven't read this book. It's called Weapons of Math Destruction. And these weapons of math destruction, I find it particularly difficult to pronounce as a non-native English speaker, are models and algorithms that claim to quantify or predict some important feature in society. And they could end up, in addition, causing some damage or maybe reinforcing certain inequalities in our society. So they're, in a way, powerful and could have dire consequences. So these are the type of algorithms that this book emphasizes. O'Neill characterizes these types of algorithms as having scale. They're large scale. They are opaque, usually proprietary algorithms that we don't really know how they function. And they can have high impact, or you potentially could have dire consequences. And her book recounts several stories of people who were affected by these algorithms on different points, teachers that were fired, criminal offenders that were given higher sentences, consumers whose shopping choices lowered their credit card limits. They're all different people going about their business, were judged by algorithms and leaving them with no recourse because the algorithms are proprietary. One of the cases that is discussed in the book is this idea of predictive policing. There are a lot of police departments across the US that are deploying these new computer systems that use data to attempt to automatically forecast where more crime will happen and what type of people will be involved, and to send patrols to those areas. These tools of predictive policing are used to concentrate police activity in communities that are already disadvantaged. And there are some questions that this raises in my mind. This is data that is profoundly biased already, and this data is driving the enforcement activities of police, such as location of previous crimes, patterns in communities, officer-initiated 911 calls, and so on. And the vendors who sell these tools, this software, are not really accountable for how they build these algorithms. And with flawed data and opaque algorithms in an area like this of high impact to human society comes a situation where we can have reinforcement of biases and inequalities in our society. And my last story to motivate this the end of today is about Cambridge Analytica. If you're not familiar with this company, it's a firm out of the UK that claims to be able to do psychographic targeting for political campaigns. They get data from individuals, from data brokers, people who sell the data that we click, agree without realizing those terms that we signed when we open an account. They buy all this data from social media, consumer data, lifestyle data, and so on, and they run models that they claim are calibrated against other individuals who have completed psychological tests, and so they're able to do psychographic targeting. Cambridge Analytical claims publicly to have about, on average, 5,000 data points on each of the 200 million voters in the United States. So enough to build very accurate psychological profiles and addressed ads to each individual person. This is, you can search for it, but this is one post by Paul Olivier Diaye, who has been writing about this, these concerns about surveillance capitalism and data models in our society for quite a while. And a press release from Cambridge Analytica on November 9, 2016, quotes the CEO as saying, "We are thrilled that our revolutionary approach to data-driven communication has played such an integral part in President-elect Trump's extraordinary win." Adding later on that pretty much every message that Trump put out was data-driven. Millions of dollars were paid, of course, to this company that has this kind of know-how. And we were all very positive about data science all day today. Just want us to reflect a little bit about the power shift that can be occurring when these types of tools are potentially in the wrong hands. And Cathy O'Neill said in her interview in The Guardian in regards to her book, democracy is more than a two-party system. It's an informed public, and that's what it's at risk. So large corporations, governments, political campaigns have data science tools that model our personality, identify our weaknesses, target our vulnerabilities, and nudge our desires and ideas. And that constitutes a very large power shift that is occurring. So when we think about all the education for data science, we have this widespread interest in creating boot camps and workshops and masters and so on programs. And here's just one sample of General Assembly, a very well-regarded company that offers boot camps, and just a snapshot of one syllabus. And you'll see, no need to read it, you can just browse some of the words here. It's all about using tools, learning to program, obviously, learning to use visualization, libraries, and so on. But not about these types of concerns that I was just bringing to your attention. And I think the educational program here in Berkeley is the one example that offers me some hope. Here's the direct quote from the data science program for undergraduate education here at UC Berkeley, where they say very clearly that they're focused in computational thinking, inferential thinking, and real-world relevance, and also delving into social issues surrounding data analysis, such as privacy and design. And it's aimed at young people, undergraduates, and eventually the broad impact through the full population of the university. That is the goal, at least. And so here we are in the cradle of the free speech movement 50 years ago, and that, I think there's a new opportunity for societal impact brewing right here. UC Berkeley is leading the way, really, to this broad curricular immersion with data science. Other universities should soon follow suit. And the key to this model is that it truly is interdisciplinary. It truly aims to be data science for all, not just the computer scientists or the highly competitive student that may already be used to calculating their SAT scores and using data in the best way to game the system, and we can't blame them. But if only these types of mentalities are going to be working in these data products and using analytics to make decisions in our society, then we have a problem. We also need the full power of thinking of the philosophers and the sociologists and all of the other citizens, educated and informed citizens, to understand how algorithms are being used in our society and be able to potentially block this power shift that is occurring. So this is the thought I wanted to leave with you, the idea that data science for all is actually a vision that Berkeley is initiating, and that could have more impact than computer science for all program imagined a year and a half ago. That program was aimed at K-12, and I propose that data science for all really should be something that, at least at the higher education level, we should be thinking about, because we cannot escape how data science is now permeated our society. So with that, thank you very much.